everyone. My name is Josh Hart. I am director of the organization StopSmartMeters.org. We are a grassroots organization standing up for consumer rights, safety, privacy, and health. We are here to oppose AB 2395. This is a profound disconnect between AT&T and the people of California it serves. Landlines are a safe, dependable, and affordable critical communications option for California families, particularly rural residents, disabled, and many others. I'm here as a constituent of Assemblymember Dale, and I live in Plumas County. And the rural areas have particular issues. You may not understand these issues living in an urban area and being solely dependent on a cell phone, but many, many people out in rural areas are dependent on safe and reliable landlines. For example, in our house, I try to use Skype and it disconnects within a minute or two. It's virtually impossible to have a business conversation using Skype or other VoIP technology. In addition, our cellular coverage is not adequate and the calls often break up. I couldn't even use a cell phone even if I wanted to because I'm electro-hypersensitive and I get headaches when I try to use it. Literally, I cannot do it. I would be one of the many millions left behind if this bill passes. This is a truly absurd bill and shows how out of touch the telecom industry truly is. We might as well demolish our water systems, electrical grid, and postal service. Why not tear up our roads, rail systems? The scrap value of those systems has got to be huge. Landline networks provide the most reliable and highest quality voice service available, better than VoIP or cell service. And I note that in the bill, AB 2395, in the text, there is no guarantee for customers that the same level of quality or reliability will be maintained. This is taking away choices from California families, not providing new ones, as they would have you believe. Analog is often referred to by the folks to my right as being old or outdated. But analog, the actual meaning of analog is the root is analogy, the same as analogy. It's the same, which is something that you really want when you're speaking on the phone to someone. You want to hear an accurate and precise representation of their voice. You do not get that with cell phones. You do not get that with VoIP. Digital is only an approximation. It is not the same signal. Safety is a major casualty of this bill. We need communications that will function reliably in the case of emergency and pinpoint the location of 911 callers. Mobile phone service does not pinpoint the location of callers the same way that landline services do when someone calls 911. Landlines generally continue working when the power goes out. This is a critical, of critical importance in an emergency. After 9/11 hit, many people living around that area in Manhattan, the cell service was completely down. Landlines were a critical safety link for these people. While the power grid is, of course, being made less reliable by the smart grid and digital meters, which have been exploding and causing harm and burning people's homes down. Cell phone systems have failed in nearly every major emergency across the U.S. in the last decade because they simply cannot, cellular service simply cannot keep up with the volume of calls. We need the copper, secure, safe landline system as an ancillary system to the mobile network. No one's suggesting taking away people's mobile service. There needs to be a choice. Cell phones cannot be the sole option for 21st century communications because, as my colleague mentioned, they pose a major health risk to users, particularly to children and adolescents. This is not paranoia, this is science. The World Health Organization classified radio frequency radiation used by cell phones and wireless VoIP services as a Class 2B carcinogen, and many countries like France, Germany, and others are taking action to protect the most vulnerable. People who are electro-hypersensitive do not have an option here. There's no guarantee for safe landline wired service. People simply cannot use wireless, and they will be disconnected from their families and friends. Saying that these services and that this bill would reduce greenhouse gas emissions is ignoring the elephant in the room, which is that mobile service and cellular technology is a huge consumer of fossil fuels, of electricity, and emitter of greenhouse gases. We need to address that elephant in the room of the number of cell towers before we look at the relatively minuscule contribution of landline networks. This is important to say. 9.2 million Californians depend on landlines, including, according to AT&T's numbers, including 2.4 million who rely solely on landlines, including myself. I don't use a cell phone. Are we going to be happy being forced to use a more expensive, less reliable, and lower quality service? What exactly are we being offered? What exactly is the public being offered? This is not a demand coming from the public. This is generated by corporate priorities to make more money at the expense of public service by AT&T. Back in the 40s and 50s, we had a robust streetcar system, and General Motors, this is historical fact now, General Motors conspired with the Firestone Tire and Standard Oil to dismantle our streetcar networks. Now, 50 years later, we're looking at putting in more light rail systems. We're replacing those systems, and it's costing us billions of dollars. If we had maintained that system, we would not have faced with that cost. And we don't know where the future is going. People are into LPs and analog records. Those are increasing. There is a future for analog. It's not just digital. The widespread opposition and civil unrest that we saw in response to smart meter deployment 6 years ago will pale in comparison to what will happen if you allow AT&T to destroy our valuable landline network. If you're a legislator who cares about consumers over corporate profits, you will vote no on AB 2395 today. We insist and we demand that our landline system is maintained and improved and extended. Thank you.
Okay, so this is a very important bill, and we have to maintain the appearance of fairness. We had 3 witnesses on the pro side. We have had now 3 speak on the opposition side.